Imagine this. You're at a crowded party surrounded by laughter, conversation, and energy. Yet amidst all this activity, you feel disconnected, alone. Even why does this happen? Why do some people thrive in solitude, while others shrink from it? And most importantly, what does this reveal about the deepest parts of ourselves today? We're going to explore the fascinating mind of Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century. And his perspective on the loner. Jung believed that the experience of loneliness is deeply tied to our ability to communicate what truly matters to us, our innermost thoughts, feelings, and dreams. But there's much more to this. By the end of this video, you'll understand not just why some people prefer solitude, but how this choice can actually be a pathway to self-discovery, personal growth, and even creativity. The loner is often misunderstood in a society that values extroversion, where connection and constant interaction are celebrated. The loner can be viewed as odd or detached. But what if this preference for solitude wasn't a sign of dysfunction, but of a deeper, more complex psychological process? Carl Jung had a profound theory that sheds light on this. He believed that many people who seek solitude are not merely avoiding others. They are in fact searching for something within themselves. To fully grasp this concept, we need to start by understanding Carl Jung's idea of the self. According to Jung, the self is not just the conscious mind, the part of us that interacts with the world daily, but also the unconscious mind. The unconscious contains everything from our personal memories to the archetypal symbols that have shaped human experience across time. Jung believed that to be whole, we need to integrate both the conscious and unconscious parts of ourselves. And for many people, this journey toward integration begins in solitude. Take a moment to think about this. When was the last time you were truly alone without distractions? In those moments of quiet, we often find that our thoughts wander to places we typically avoid: our fears, our unresolved emotions, our dreams. According to Jung, these moments of introspection are crucial for our psychological health. He called this process individuation. Individuation is the journey toward becoming who we truly are, our most authentic selves. But here's the key. This process often requires solitude. Jung saw the loner as someone who, whether consciously or unconsciously, embarks on the path of individuation. This person withdraws from the noise of the external world to explore the depths of their inner world. They seek to understand themselves on a deeper level, to confront their shadow, the darker, often hidden aspects of their personality, and to integrate it with their conscious self. It's an arduous journey, but one that leads to wholeness and self-fulfillment. Now you might wonder, is this journey into solitude necessary for everyone? Jung didn't believe that everyone needs to be a loner to achieve self-understanding, but he did believe that moments of solitude are essential for anyone who wishes to live authentically in a world that is constantly pulling us toward distraction through technology, social obligations, and work. Finding time to be alone with our thoughts is more important than ever. For some, this need for solitude is greater, and for these individuals, embracing the life of a loner is not a weakness, but a strength. This brings us to a critical point: society's misunderstanding of the loner. In many cultures, the loner is often seen as antisocial or even pathological. People are quick to assume that those who prefer their own company are lonely or depressed. But Jung offers a different perspective. He suggests that for some, solitude is not about isolation or withdrawal from society. It's about inner exploration. These individuals are not running away from others. They are running toward themselves. They are driven by an inner quest to understand who they are and how they fit into the larger picture of life. Let's take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever felt the need to withdraw, to step away from the constant demands of social interaction? If so, you're not alone. And according to Jung, this desire is not something to be feared or suppressed. Instead, it should be embraced as a vital part of the journey toward self-knowledge. As we dive deeper into Jung's ideas, we begin to see that the psychology of the loner is not just about avoiding people. It's about engaging with one's inner world. It's about giving oneself the space to think, reflect, and grow. This is not a rejection of society, but rather an affirmation of the importance of understanding oneself. In this first part, we've laid the foundation for understanding the psychology of the loner from a Jungian perspective. But there's much more to uncover. How does this journey into solitude impact creativity? How do loners find meaning in their lives even when they are apart from others? And most importantly, what can we learn from their experiences to enrich our own lives? In the next part, we'll explore how solitude can unlock creativity and lead to profound insights. We'll also look at real-world examples of individuals who have embraced the life of a loner and how it transformed them. So stay with us because what comes next could change the way you think about solitude and its role in your personal journey. Let's continue by diving into one of the most surprising aspects of solitude, its link to creativity. Jung himself was no stranger to this. He often retreated to his tower in Bingen, Switzerland, where he would spend days in isolation contemplating his ideas and even engaging in creative acts like carving stones. He believed that solitude, when embraced fully, could serve as a gateway to inspiration and profound inner insights. Imagine yourself in a quiet room far from the demands and noise of everyday life. It's just you and your thoughts. In these moments, something interesting begins to happen. You notice ideas that were once buried beneath the surface of your consciousness, starting to emerge without the distractions of the outside world. Your mind has the freedom to wander, to explore, and to create. This is the power of solitude, a power that Carl Jung understood deeply. Jung proposed that creativity does not arise solely from our conscious mind. Instead, it often comes from the unconscious, a place that is not always accessible when we are busy with external stimuli. The loner, by seeking solitude, creates the perfect conditions for these unconscious thoughts and ideas to bubble up to the surface. In other words, creativity is often born out of the quiet spaces in our minds. Consider some of the greatest artists, writers, and thinkers throughout history. Many of them were known to seek solitude in order to create their masterpieces. Think of Virginia Woolf, who would retreat to her room to write, or Henry David Thoreau, who famously lived in solitude at Walden Pond to reflect on life and nature. Even Albert Einstein, known for his brilliant mind, would often seek moments of quiet to think deeply about his theories. These individuals understood something that modern society often overlooks. Solitude can be the birthplace of innovation and genius, but this process isn't always comfortable for many. Being alone with one's thoughts can be unsettling in solitude. We are confronted with our inner fears, doubts, and insecurities. What Jung referred to as the shadow. The shadow represents the parts of ourselves that we typically keep hidden, even from our conscious minds. It's the darker side of our personality, the aspects of ourselves that we might find difficult to accept. For the loner, solitude is not just a time for reflection. It's also a time for confronting the shadow. And while this can be challenging, it's also incredibly rewarding. By facing the shadow, we begin to understand ourselves more fully. We see both our strengths and our weaknesses, and we become more integrated as individuals. This process of integrating the shadow is a key part of individuation, the journey toward wholeness that Jung believed was essential for personal growth. Now you might be wondering, why would anyone want to confront the darker parts of themselves? What's the benefit of looking into the shadow? The answer lies in the transformation that occurs when we do. When we acknowledge and accept our shadow, we free ourselves from its control. Instead of being unconsciously driven by our fears and insecurities, we become more self-aware, more grounded, and ultimately more creative. Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This is the heart of the loner's journey in solitude. The loner has the opportunity to not only tap into their creative potential, but also to face the parts of themselves that they might otherwise ignore. This combination of creativity and self-awareness leads to a deeper understanding of the self and a greater ability to navigate the complexities of life. This brings us to an important realization. Solitude is not just a physical state, it's also a mental one. You don't have to be completely alone in the world to experience the benefits of solitude, even in the midst of a busy life. It's possible to carve out moments of quiet reflection. These moments can serve as a time to connect with your inner self, to process your emotions, and to allow your creativity to flow. Now, let's think about how this applies to your own life. Have you ever had a moment where you felt stuck creatively, where no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't come up with new ideas? It's in these moments that solitude can be especially powerful. By stepping away from the noise and distractions of everyday life, you give yourself the space to think freely. And often, it's in these quiet moments that breakthroughs happen. The psychology of the loner teaches us that solitude is not something to be feared, it's something to be embraced. It's a tool that can lead to self-discovery, creativity, and personal transformation for the loner. The time spent alone is not wasted. It's a vital part of their journey toward understanding themselves and their place in the world. But there's another layer to this that we haven't yet explored. While solitude can lead to incredible insights and personal growth, it can also present challenges. Loners often face feelings of isolation, not just physically but emotionally as well. They may struggle to connect with others or feel misunderstood by society. Jung recognized this tension and offered wisdom on how to navigate it. In the next part, we will dive into the emotional challenges faced by loners and how Jung's insight can help us understand and overcome these difficulties. We'll explore the balance between solitude and connection, and how the loner can find meaning and fulfillment in a world that often misunderstands them. There's much more to uncover, and the most important revelations are yet to come. Stay with us as we continue this journey into the depths of Jung's understanding of the loner and the profound lessons we can all learn from it. As we journey deeper into the psychology of the loner, it's time to address one of the most significant challenges that individuals who prefer solitude often face: the feeling of isolation. While solitude can be a source of creativity, self-discovery, and personal growth, it can also lead to moments of loneliness and emotional disconnection from others. Carl Jung had profound insights into this experience, and understanding them can help us navigate the tension between solitude and connection. Jung believed that the experience of loneliness is not simply the result of being physically alone. Rather, it stems from a deeper emotional disconnection, from feeling that we are unable to share the things that matter most to us with others. This is an experience that many loners know all too well. They may find themselves surrounded by people but still feel isolated, unable to express their true thought and feelings. This is because the journey into the self which loners undertake in solitude often reveals truths and insights that are difficult to communicate to others. Think about a time when you had a deeply personal realization, something that profoundly shifted your understanding of yourself or the world around you. Now imagine trying to explain that realization to someone who hasn't had the same experience. It's not easy, is it? This is the struggle that many loners face. Their journey into solitude leads them to a deeper understanding of themselves, but that understanding can be difficult to articulate to others, leaving them feeling disconnected. Jung acknowledged this challenge but also believed that it was not insurmountable. He suggested that while loners may struggle to communicate their inner world, they can still find meaning and connection through other means. One of the ways to bridge this gap is by finding or creating a community of like-minded individuals, people who share similar values, interests, or experiences. These communities can provide a space where loners feel understood and accepted for who they are, allowing them to form meaningful connections without sacrificing their need for solitude. It's important to note that Jung was not advocating for complete isolation. He recognized the importance of relationships and social interaction for psychological health. However, he also believed that true connection could only occur when individuals were fully in touch with themselves. In other words, the loner's journey into solitude is not a rejection of others. It's a way of becoming more authentic, which ultimately allows for deeper, more meaningful connections with others. This brings us to a critical point in understanding the psychology of the loner: the balance between solitude and connection. While solitude is essential for self-discovery, connection is equally important for emotional well-being. The key is finding the right balance, a balance that allows the loner to maintain their sense of self while still engaging with the world around them. Jung believed that this balance could be achieved through what he called individuation, the process of becoming one's true self. Individuation is not about withdrawing from society. Rather, it's about integrating the conscious and unconscious parts of the self so that an individual can engage with the world from a place of authenticity. For the loner, this process often requires periods of solitude to reflect, grow, and integrate their inner experiences. But it also requires moments of connection where they can share their insights with others and form meaningful relationships. Let's reflect on this for a moment. If you identify as a loner, you may have experienced the pull between solitude and connection. There may be times when you crave the peace and quiet of being alone, and other times when you long for connection with others. This is a natural part of the human experience, and Jung's insights can help us navigate this tension in a way that promotes psychological health and well-being. Jung's concept of the collective unconscious also plays a role here. He believed that all humans share a set of universal symbols and archetypes that are present in the unconscious mind. These archetypes, such as the hero, the mother, and the shadow, shape our experiences and interactions with the world. The loner, by delving into their unconscious mind through solitude, often gains a deeper understanding of these archetypes and how they manifest in their own life. This awareness can help them connect with others on a more profound level, as they recognize the shared human experience that underlies all of our individual journeys. But this doesn't mean that the loner must always be social, or that they should abandon their preference for solitude. In fact, Jung argued that for some individuals, solitude is not just a preference, it's a necessity. These individuals, whom he referred to as introverts, are naturally inclined to turn inward to reflect and to seek meaning within themselves. For them, solitude is not a burden but a source of strength. It's where they recharge, where they gain clarity, and where they find the inspiration to continue their journey of self-discovery. This understanding of introvert ion and extroversion is one of Jung's most influential contributions to psychology. He believed that both introverts and extroverts have valuable traits, but that they operate differently in the world. Extroverts gain energy from interacting with others, while introverts gain energy from spending time alone. For the loner, this introverted energy is what fuels their creativity and personal growth. But it's important to remember that even the most introverted individuals need moments of connection to feel fully balanced. So where does this leave us? We've explored how solitude can lead to creativity and self-discovery, and we've also looked at the emotional challenges that come with being a loner. We've seen that the balance between solitude and connection is essential for psychological well-being, and that Jung's insights into introversion and individuation can help us understand this balance. But there's still more to uncover in the final part of this video. We're going to explore the practical side of the loner's journey. How can you embrace solitude without feeling isolated? How can you find meaning and purpose in your life, even if you prefer to spend time alone? And most importantly, how can you integrate the lessons of solitude into your everyday life in a way that promotes growth, fulfillment, and connection? Stay with us as we bring together everything we've discussed so far and reveal the final, most powerful insights from Carl Jung's psychology of the loner. What comes next will give you the tools to embrace your own journey, whether you identify as a loner or simply want to understand yourself on a deeper level. As we reach the final part of our exploration into Carl Jung's psychology of the loner, it's time to focus on how we can apply these insights to our own lives. Whether you identify as a loner or not, the lessons of solitude, individuation, and self-awareness are universally valuable. Jung believed that every person's journey is one of growth and transformation, and by understanding the psychology of the loner, we can gain practical tools for navigating this journey with greater clarity and purpose. Let's begin by addressing a common question. How can we embrace solitude without feeling isolated or disconnected from the world? As we discussed earlier, solitude is not the same as loneliness. Solitude is a choice, a deliberate withdrawal from the external world in order to connect more deeply with the inner self. Loneliness, on the other hand, is a feeling of being cut off from meaningful connection. The key to avoiding loneliness is to approach solitude mindfully and with intention. One of the most important practices for embracing solitude is learning how to be present with yourself in our modern world.
I used to have a pair of shoes like that. When I worked at the Garrick Theater.
And you must have got them on the same place, 6th Avenue.
I don't know where they came from. They were given to me. But mine were all covered with dead vegetables and whipped cream by the end of the season.
It's funny, the guy who sold me these, that's what he had to take off of them.
Boil them a little bit.
For a long time, you've been in New York, and then went to LA. Why? I mean, what's...
I served my time in New York.
What do you mean?
I didn't like it that much while I was here, and I liked California a lot better. It was so depressing during the time I was here. I really hate to come back.
I don't know. I always find LA and New York sort of similar. It's like the same hustles going down in both places.
Ain't no hustle where I live. I got a place with a bunch of trees around it, some space. I don't have to shuffle around the street and walk over people who have pissed all over themselves and are laying down there in the gutter, and policemen coming along beating them on the legs, screaming at them to get up, and dogs shitting all over the place. It's just a little different in Los Angeles.
I'm I'm wondering if, when you're touring around, whether you've started to notice something, a kind of more political consciousness of the audiences.
It's superficial.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really believe that. It's as superficial as their musical consciousness. It's just another aspect of being involved in the actions of their peer group. One guy in the group says, "Hey, politics," and they go, "Yeah, politics." Or they go, "Grand Funk Railroad," and they go, "Yeah, Grand Funk Railroad." It's the same thing.
And you don't see really any real change that's gone down?
Sure, I see a lot of changes, but I think that they're all temporary things, and there's any change for the good is always subject to cancellation upon the arrival of the next fad. And the same thing with any change for the worse. You have a nation of people who are waiting for the next big thing to happen.
How about before each concert, though? Do you have to get yourself up to do it? Do you think, oh, God, those idiots out there?
No, I don't think, oh God, those idiots out there, until I find out they're idiots, you know. I give them the benefit of the doubt.
This is just something from out of left field. The whole women's lib thing.
Yeah.
Has that touched you at all? Has any people said, how come you don't have any girls in the group? Women in the group?
Yeah, somebody asked me that last night, as a matter of fact.
How come you don't?
Well, I just don't think it's practical.
It's not practical?
No, not for what we do. It's just not practical. I don't think that there's a girl around that would fit in with what we do. And I don't like to change personnel all the time, but it does seem to happen. And I would hate to stick a girl in, get new publicity photos, and then have the poor thing bomb out in the middle of a tour.
Has it touched you at all, women's lib? I mean, do you think that it's a valid movement or just a fad also?
Just a fad also.
Really? Huh?
Sure. Which is not to say it's bad if it keeps them off the street, you know, keeps them occupied.
Well, how do you personally, though, think about women? You know, do you think a woman's place is the home? Is that basically how you see it?
No, some women are very badly suited to being in the home, and I don't think they should be there. They should be in a factory or in a library as a librarian, or even doing something more exciting, you know, like show business. Women are different, you know. Each one has their own sort of qualification. I hate to think of women as a big group because you can't judge them that way. But in most instances, I find out that they're just really stupid people. They just happen to wear dresses.
Why do you think America is so fad crazy then? Because you seem to see everything in terms of fads.
I think that's a reasonable way to look at it, because it doesn't have any real sort of values, you know. And the fad provides you with a temporary occupation for your imagination. Really, it doesn't have any real culture. It doesn't have any real art. It doesn't have any real anything. It's just got fads and a gross national product and a lot of inflation.
Now that also puts you in as part of the fad, right?
I'm an American. I was born here. I automatically got entered in a membership in the club. You can compute me any way you want.
Released here with bleeps in it.
It certainly is.
You want to write something in your paper? You tell the kids that I say not to buy it. You tell them that's against my wishes, and I fought for this song not to be censored.
Let me just say, by the way, that the single that Patty's talking about is the B-side of the new single, My Generation.
Very old Pete Townsend song.
Yeah. It has this line, I don't need no fucking shit, hope I die because of it, because it was live. And they bleeped it, and that's not how it's supposed to be. They're two very important American slang terms. They're nothing but slang. They've been abstracted from the physical act. When people say fucking shit, they don't think of a big turd or two people making it anymore. It's just words, you know? Rock and roll, or whatever it's called, is like my art. Government doesn't know shit, you know, whether it's art or not. And that's the whole thing. Rock and roll is still warfare. Total warfare all the time. You're always fighting. You're always fighting. People got very upset when they thought I moved into rock and roll and stopped being a poet and started being a rock and roller. But they forget that the first time I ever performed poetry, I was with Lenny. He was playing guitar. The second time was with Sam Shepard. He was playing drums. I've actually never really experienced poetry without something behind it. It just grew, it flowered, it transcended.
What about the final contact, Patty, with Rambo?